there is an echo, and it is us. We've been teasing about these money and law of attraction cards.
It's a big deck.
Because, well, actually, they are the most brilliant cards that have ever been assembled on the subject of shifting your vibration relative to money. And they were written from inside the vortex, where all good stuff comes from, as a culmination of everything that you all have been asking for. So we just stood there, looked over what you want to know, understood it completely, and ta-da. So, let's say you're standing outside the vortex and you've decided that you're going to use your ability to focus yourself into alignment.
Okay.
And things have not been going very well for you financially. And so, these cards, even the fact that they exist is annoying.
Got it.
But you bought them anyway with money that you do not have. You look at them and the colors are nice. And you read, I am developing the skill to direct my thoughts. And then you throw that card away. I can have money and freedom too. I'm going to mail that one to my employer. I do not need to have money to attract money. That is very fortunate. I have control over the thoughts I think. I hate these cards. Money isn't everything, but there is no shortage of money or time. Who writes this stuff? I will praise success wherever I see it, and if I ever see it, I surely will. There's not a good card here. Because when you are crossways of the frequency of what you want, then hammering at it, trying to go specifically positive when you have just been feeling specifically negative, makes you dig in defiance and defense and justification and rationalization of where you are. And when you do that, you just practice the vibration that you didn't mean to practice, you see. So, bring us around to where you are. In other words, what is it? Is there something specific that you want to talk about?
Well, several things. Let's talk about in relationships. Why is it that sometimes the less interest you show in someone, the more they're attracted to you, and the less you're more interest you show in someone? Is that the simplest form?
This is exactly what we're talking about. Because in your lack of interest, you are less specifically pushing them away. In other words, because you already, as in the demonstration of these cards, don't believe in the viability of the relationship. And so the more you try to believe it from not believing it, the more you give off the signal that pushes it away. But when you're not interested, when you really don't care, now you're not offering that signal, and then what you really want begins to flock to you.
Oh, okay.
It's exactly the point that we were making with the cards. The harder you try when you're not in vibrational frequency sync with what you want, the worse it goes. Interesting. When we talk about deliberate creation, feels counterintuitive to some of you, doesn't it? It's like, I should try harder. And we say, no, you should give it up. You should let go. But it comes back to what we were saying earlier, that the process of creation is 3 steps. Ask. You've already done that. Answer. Source has already done that. It is a vibrational done deal. Now your work is to do anything and everything you can to relax into, to allow, to let be, to surrender into. And the harder you try to be specific when you don't have the answers, when you don't know where, when, who, how, where. In other words, when you don't have the answers to that, then the more you hold yourself in the frequency that defies it.
That's why the more I dream and the less I give a heck about it, it seems to come.
Well,
I dream and it's, if I let it go.
But imagine how delicious it could be to want something that isn't painful, To want it even though it hasn't come. To want it with the general knowledge that it will someday be there. And to be satisfied with that general knowledge that it will someday be there until you allow the specifics of it to begin to show themselves to you. So there's a difference between just saying, I don't want those grapes because they're sour anyway.
Yeah.
There's a difference between saying, I don't want it, because the truth of it is, you do want it. You do want it. You can't give up on your dreams. And to say you're not dreaming those dreams anymore is not accurate at all. You cannot cease to want what you want, but you can choose your vibrational position to it by railing against the absence of it or by surrendering to the presence of it. And what you're talking about is part of that process. In other words, it's part of the letting go of the details of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Perfect words that you've offered. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Something more?
No, that's enough.
Very good.
Thanks.
That was good, wasn't it? Don't you have a stronger sense of why some things that you've been wanting have been avoiding you? Because how you really feel is what's coming to you.
I'm really thankful to that gentleman, because I'm going to cover a lot of things he actually just asked.
He set it right up for you.
Last year somebody went first, and I got kind of caught up in going first this year, but I knew it was perfect because I knew I was perfect to go right after him once he started bringing up his subjects. Good.
Your time is up.
I've become pretty good at getting in the vortex.
How do you know?
Because of the way I feel, and I know that my inner being is always communicating with me.
So what's the first manifestational indicator that you're in the vortex?
Emotion. It's an emotional indicator.
And we love that you are willing to call that a manifestation with us. That feeling in my belly is a manifestation. It's a manifestational indicator that I'm in the vortex. What would be a logical next manifestation indication that you're in the vortex?
Actually, that was my question.
That was it.
Right.
That was it. In other words, that was it. You had a question that was answered without you. In other words, we posed the question that was in your mind. That's a manifestational indicator. And what we were going to say, it's a thought that occurs. In other words, no words were exchanged, but the thought is the indicator.
Right.
And don't you think that was pretty good, that we are tracking right there on the same wavelength? Exactly, you see? It's a manifestational indicator. So first it's a feeling, then thoughts begin to occur to you, then people begin to walk into your space and offer words, then you begin to see things. In other words, the manifestations just become prolific all around you as indicators that you are in the vortex. And we're going to let you talk here briefly in a moment. We're going to be brief, but we just want to say at the outset here that when you get on this roll where you know you have affected a feeling, which is a manifestational proof that you have achieved vibrational alignment with the vortex, and then thoughts start streaming, and then others start joining you in conversation, and then the earth starts moving. In other words, things start happening. That's when you begin to feel that worthy understanding that you, and that feeling of empowerment, that you are the creator and that the manifestation is following the direction of your thoughts. Good.
Okay. So I guess that's my answer also.
Pretty much.
So because the way I do it is more or less by visualizing some generally visualizing
but
specifically.
isn't a vision just a more detailed
Specific,
thought?
correct.
A more specific thought.
Correct.
So once you start visualizing, what's that telling you? That's telling you you're on the vibe of it. So now, we were talking earlier. Oh, such a good conversation. We were talking earlier about how out here in the what is reality, you can see and hear and smell and taste and touch. You mean you're in the vortex where there's no stuff actually manifested, but you're seeing it? So a visualization is more indication that you're in the vortex. So first it's emotion, then, or feeling, then it's thoughts begin to stream. Now you're beginning to see stuff. Are you kidding? Now you're beginning to see stuff. This is all indication of the vortex. Wonder what'll come next.
Right. So I was listening to
Are you in the vortex visualizing, feeling, and then comparing, where is it? I feel it. Where is it? I feel it, and then slowing it down? Or are you basking in the deliciousness of the feeling that's getting more and more detailed until the details begin to show up in concrete manifested form?
So that's my next question. So I just continue to do it.
We're really enjoying how your next question keeps following our next answer. In other words, you're manifesting all over the place. In other words, this is that, can't you see that track on that, can't you just see it? You're in the vortex and it's just looping around and giving you another reason and another reason and another reason.
And so the next step is just, continue until physical translation happens.
But is it a step? Is it a step? Or is it so much the next logical thing that you don't even need to call it a step?
Right.
The next awareness, the next observation, the next feeling, the next awareness is the best word. The next manifestation, the next reality, the next observation.
And it's obvious. Whenever it comes, it'll be obvious.
Well, we think it's been pretty obvious here this morning.
I agree.
Don't you?
Thank you. Yeah, I get it.
Good time for a segment of refreshment.